Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning to another exciting episode of The Spiritual Scientist. I'm Victor. Hey, thanks for checking me out. So I got an exciting show for you tonight. A little conspiracy stuff going to go on. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little oregano. Not the crazy oregano, the regular oregano. The kind you add to flavor spice to make it a little spicier. You know what I mean? Not really spicy, just a little flavor. So let's get right to it, right? So, just thought I'd talk about a couple things. Of course, everybody's talking about the coronavirus, and they're not COVID-19, whatever. A couple things about it. I was talking about before about how when 5G rolled out, the COVID-19 came about the same time. Now, I have a friend of mine that said they live somewhere in some, she's probably watching. Hi. She said that some neighbors of hers came from China already, like in November, they came back from China and they were really sick for like a week. They were really, really sick, but then they got better. So, a lot of people could be sick and gotten better and not known, like everybody isn't, tested for it. So there could be a lot of people out there with it at the present time and they just don't know. The thing about the whole 5G just seems to be, now I'm not talking full-blown conspiracy, but what I'm saying is that as if, 5G is creating this symptoms of the coronavirus, that certainly could be the case. But what I am saying, and scientifically proven, is that I believe that 5G could lower your immunity. Now, I'm saying could. There's never really been a study. I did have a conversation with someone that said I was full of it, and that's not true, because there's been plenty of studies. There was one in 2005, a somewhat limited study that the government did about 5G on the, it was a really small study. I did some research and then a little more research. I didn't see any other really studies. It's a high frequency and it can't bother you. So I'm a distance healer. I do healing. That's what I do. I do frequency healing. That's what I do. So frequencies can actually, make you go up and make you go down. It's a whole thing. Like Tesla said, it's all about frequency and vibration, right? So if you're at a certain, there is no block for a certain frequency. It's not like you can block it yourself within your head. If there's a frequency out there, you have a sympathetic response, a resonation, and you're going to resonate to that frequency, whatever it is. As everybody knows, there are some weapons designed around 5G, and they use the same weapons in 5G frequencies as they can hurt people with it. Now, they have certainly technology to use, sensors, and what you could do is you could triangulate someone's position and have that frequency hit them, very specifically if someone was, going to use it as a weapon. But that's not really what I'm talking about too much tonight. The one thing I wanted to let you know is I went for a run, and now it's getting a little warm out, trying to stay in shape. What I recommend is people, keep your vibration high. You want to stay healthy and, not get sick. So, trying to eat right always. And now it's nicer out, so I could go running again, which is great. I could run inside, of course, but I have a much better time running outside. So anyway, I have a clear head when I'm running, and I had an idea that this was like phase 1. For the coronavirus, is more of a phase 1. And I started thinking about it, you could say channel information, whatever. So I started thinking about what would that be phase 1. So if I was a bio weapons manufacturer, if I was making COVID-19 in a lab and then I released it, I found it suspect that the people high up in the Iranian government are getting it. People, it seems like it's almost targeting, people in certain positions in governments. It also seemed like, as I mentioned before, that this leader of a cult in South Korea seemed like his flock was targeted as well. So it's just very strange. So if I'm taking it from a scientific, this is a spiritual scientist channel. So if I'm taking it from a scientific point of view, it would almost seem like this, what I'm saying is this virus could already be spread out in the population. But what happens is, I think with 5G could, and it's a theory, could actually specifically set it off, right? So I was thinking about that, and then I said to myself, and right now I'm sure a lot of you hating me. It's okay. I'm used to it. Phase one. I was thinking about phase one. I'm like, what do you mean phase one? So what that would mean is you could actually turn up that frequency and go into a phase two situation. So if you were to release another bioweapon into specifically targeting certain populations, it could take the COVID-19 to COVID-20, you know what I mean? It could make it even more lethal. And I think if they haven't come up with that, I think there's governments out there that are working desperately. And you would think, oh, they're coming desperately, they're working on a cure. I think in the opposite case would be they're really desperately working on weaponizing this more before the other side does. So you have governments behind the scenes. In my mind, they would be working on weaponizing this virus more because now they have a perfect excuse. Right now it's out there. It's great. It's out there for them. It's great. It's already out there. The whole world's getting it. Wait a while. It's out there. And then you go to phase two. And what you would do is you release it maybe with an ethnic part where it has markers that specifically target certain genetic sequences to like knock people out. You know what I mean? I think they're more advanced than what you think, and they could actually, if you get a sample, this whole, 23andMe, if you get a sample of someone's genetic marker, you could just literally, with a phase two bioweapon, you could weaponize it and you could release it in California, and you could target probably one person in New York, and eventually it would propagate and hit that one person and kill them. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a phase two bioweapon. No one's talking about this, but I was running today and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, phase one. And I said, what do you mean? To myself. And I said, phase one. So phase two bioweapon system could be operational soon. And if you don't think the governments of the world are working on this behind the scenes and trying to see what they can make of this, then you're kind of ignorant of situations and what can happen out there. So I wanted to come out with this and just talk about it. Again, it's a theory, so it's not a fact. I don't have someone behind the scenes within some alphabet organization giving me information. Okay, I just have a clear head, and I think, and then my conspiracy brain comes up with this, right? So I don't have it, but I would say, watch out for it. What can you do about it? Nothing, So I just thought I'd bring it up because I think a phase two system bioweapon is something that if I was within a government organization, I would have some kind of division saying, hey, there's this thing, It's horrible, coronavirus, really bad. How can we make it worse for certain people? And they'd be like, what? How dare you? But come on, let's not be ignorant. I'm sure somebody's doing something back there. If not one country, another country is trying to think of it, and they're saying, gee, how can we weaponize this? Which is horrible. Please don't do that, guys. Let's not make it weaponized, because the genie's already out of the bottle. And then if you make it even worse, it kind of worries me, because Trump said, let's go ahead and use, flu vaccines against it. And they're like, well, you can't really do that. He's like, why not? So he's like, well, if you have to test it on people. And they said, well, what do you mean you have to test it? Why can't you just use the flu vaccine that they have already and against people? And, certain different vaccines with certain flus could make it worse. So he didn't seem to understand that, but don't get me started, right? Anyway, so I thought I'd talk about the phase 2 theory. It's kind of like a scary thing, and I don't want to scare anybody. Not a lot of people watch my channel, so I could say anything, and it really won't affect that many people. It's just the way it is. By the time I get up to, let's say if I keep doing videos and 10,000 people, this will be one of the old videos that nobody watches anyway. So right now I have 30, 50 people, maybe a couple hundred people watch it. And most of you already turned it off, and you don't care, which is cool. Whatever, look at this as for entertainment purposes, correct? Right. So, conspiracy craziness. I just think that a phase 2, something with the phase 2 makes phase 1 makes an idea make sense to me. Now, that was the scientific side of the video. From here on, we're going to go to the spiritual side of the video, right? So we're going to talk about a little bit things out there, end time prophecy stuff. You guys like that? If you do, let me know. Thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. So we're going to talk about one of the angels in the Bible. Now, as I remember, there was only a couple angels mentioned in the Bible. It was just Michael, and I guess you could say Satan, fallen angel, and that was really it. Beelzebub was a demon. He wasn't an angel, as I remember. And Legion was a demon. But those weren't like fallen angels. They were just demons, I guess. There wasn't any real other angels mentioned in the Bible. Now there's a host of angels in the Bible, which, I pay attention to all this stuff. One of them's Gabriel, which is kind of weird. And I look at all the angel names, I memorize them all, and try to, and it keeps changing, right? So that could be like, maybe there's supposedly, always a war in heaven and things like that. There's not in heaven, but there's wars. There's wars in the heavens, right? There's battles. Abaddon is an angel of the end times, right? They're mentioned in Revelations. So, in the New Testament book of Revelation, an angel called Abaddon is described as the king of an army of locusts. So right now we have locusts that are really all over, right? Covering the earth. His first name is transcribed in Greek, Revelation 9:11, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, the angel of death. Then translated, which in Greek means destroyer. In Latin, the Vulgate, the Duce Realms Bible of additional notes not present in the Greek text. In Latin, exterminus, meaning for destroyer. So he's looked at as the destroyer, doom. I'm going to read a little bit from Wiki. The etymology, according to Brown Driver Briggs lexicon, which I don't remember hearing about, but that's a whole separate thing. Could be my ignorance. It could be other things. A lexicon of the Hebrew, Abaddon, is an intensive form of the Semitic root and verb stem perish, transitive destroy, which occurs 184 times in the Hebrew Bible. Septuagint, an early Greek translation of Hebrew Bible, renders Abaddon as, and I can't read that in Hebrew, while the Greek Apollyon is the active participle of apollomon, to destroy. So it's very interesting, right? So we have locusts all over the earth, and then you have in the end times, it's saying that Abaddon's basically showing up again on the scenes. He is the angel of the pit. Basically the pit where they get the idea from of almost hell, I guess you could say, or Sheol, what they say. So that would be the angel of the abyss, which is, which you could say is basically what a lot of the Mandela effects are from, would be from the abyss translating into reality, which would mean that our reality is morphing because of the changes from the abyss, right? So I did some thinking about it. Angel of the abyss is the king of a plague of lotus, resembling, it says, horses crowned with human faces. Woman's hair, lion's teeth, iron breasts, and all that. Scorpion stinger, torments 5 months. Anyone does not have the seal of God on their foreheads. Now, the symbolism Revelation 9:11 leaves the identity of Abaddon open interpretation. Okay, Protestant commentator Matthew Henry believed Abaddon to be the Antichrist, whereas Jameson Faust Brown commentary and Henry H. Haley identified the angel as Satan. I don't agree with that. In contrast, the Methodist publication, the Interpreter's Bible, states Abaddon, however, is an angel, not of Satan, but of God. Let's remember that, right? Perform his work of destruction at God's bidding. Citing the context of Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 through 3. Jehovah's Witnesses, which get a lot wrong, but get a lot right, also cite Revelation 21 through 3, where the angel having the key to the abyss is actually shown to be a representative of God, concluding that Abaddon is another name for Jesus after his resurrection. So, some people think that Abaddon is the name of a demon or the devil himself. But, you know, what I'm saying is, if you're reading the Bible, it says that the angel of the abyss took a chain and chains up Satan, basically, eventually, and they bring him, basically, to the pit for 1,000 years, right? Think about that. So, if you're, how could you be, Satan can't, attack Satan, right? So I don't believe that this is the angel of the abyss is a destroyer, very powerful destroyer, right? He is basically the angel of the pit, the abyss, where nothing exists, where emptiness is, right? Where when if you remember, when there were demons and Jesus was there, and the demons asked of Jesus in the Bible, read it. They said, "Are you here to destroy us and throw us into the pit?" And that's really they said that a couple times to him, and they said that when they were taking that like for instance, and they went into pigs and they went down, don't destroy us, don't throw, they're saying don't throw us in a pit. Don't throw us in a pit, Jesus. Right? So I'm telling you that Abaddon is a badass. He is the quintessential angel of like death, and then he is the angel of the abyss, nothingness, which is the worst thing for any spirit, because it's like you have a computer program and you're basically erasing that hard drive. You're not even reformatting it, you're just smashing it, right? So this is what is I'm saying to you, is when you notice the Mandela effects that destroy and change things, that means that Jesus is here. You with me? Are you with me? Are you with me? Because Jesus comes with the angel of destruction. Now you're saying to me, whoa, 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 Victor, you're way off the rails. That's not true. Satan is of the world, right? So when things of the world change and they're being, changed and morphed and destroyed, then you're like, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, but shaking you up. And then you're saying, gee, maybe in one respect you're separating yourself, saying, I'm not of the world, I'm more spiritual because I could see these changes, so I'm obviously sealed and I'm not having these things. They're not of me, they're separate. So you're not of this world, right? You're separate. So it's separating, the wheat from the chaff, as they say, right? So now you're separating. When you see these horrible things like the coronavirus and all these horrible things, locusts and everything, now you have that separation, right? That's what I'm talking about. You have that separation. You're saying, gee, that's bad, but now you're saying, gee, maybe reality's not so real, in a way. What I'm saying to you is that Jesus obviously is here now, and then the angel of the abyss is at his bidding to change things. And that is a clear sign, and it's in the Bible. So people say, well, Abaddon Satan, this is Satan. And then you're going to say to me, and I know what you're thinking, you're saying, all these bad things in the Bible, they changed. But did they change to wake you up? Or did they change to make you asleep? Like, did they change to help you to understand what was going on? Or is it changing, is it changing for the worse, right? What are the changes? Think about it. What are the changes that have hurt you? Has it helped you? Have there been miracles that helped? Think about that. People are freaking out, because a logo change, But think about think about our lungs are, changed. Now you could argue and say, gee, the lungs changed and now the coronavirus works in the lungs and now there's less lung capacity. But, what I talked about before is the actual oxygen. We used to have mostly oxygen and nitrogen. Now it's all nitrogen and oxygen. Like, things change and it flips around a lot. But what I'm saying is, I think there's, changes that are good. Maybe there are changes that are bad. I think they're mostly changes for the good. And then I think there's, more hands in the pot of the changes than just, maybe just one hand. But it looks like there's more than one. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because I'm really into this Abaddon and understanding the angel of destruction, because it definitely resonates. And there wasn't the name Abaddon before in the Bible. There wasn't, and now there is. So I know, because I remember hearing about that before. There's only really one. It said archangel. There was one angel in the Bible, it was the Michael, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Michael," and we assume there's other angels, and I don't know how they got all the names really, but now there's like a host of names, and when you Google how many angel names are in the Bible, you'll see, 3, and then some sites say 5, and then there's more. That seems to change around a bit, so it's interesting. Anyway, I said a lot. Hopefully I didn't say anything too crazy. I'm trying to help. I'm actually trying to help. Last thing, right? I talked about the Hoff method breathing. If you're not into this channel, do that 30 times in a row every day. Helps, your lung capacity, helps over oxygenate your body, helps repel illness. That's important, repelling illness. I do distance healing. If you need help, if you get sick, let me know. I do that, so let me know. I'm accepting donations for Feeding America for healing. So if you want to let me know if you want a healing, and send a donation for Feeding America. I love that charity. I also like Wounded Warriors. Right now I'm centering on Feeding America because I think that's an important charity. I think it's important for people who are in need. There's 6 million kids going hungry to bed tonight, so I think it's important that people get fed. If there's going to be a pandemic where everybody's quarantined inside, I think it's important to stock the larders of Feeding America. So, and if you're in another country and you feel pulled to get a healing from me, and you want to, get one, and you feel like you want to donate, and you want to donate to your own country's hungry, I'm cool with that. I'm cool. I think there's a lot of hungry people out there that don't have enough food and substance, and I think it's really important that we should always try to remember every day. If you have extra income, I think it's important to tithe some of that to the hungry people. And you don't have to tell me about it or anybody. Just do it. And I like when people donate to me and send me money and just say, "This is for you." And I'm not going to say that I'm not going to boast or say that about what charity stuff I do, but I think I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't, right? So I think it's important to give out, to give back to people, and I'm interested in doing more out there, more events. What I'm talking about is doing spiritual workshops and classes. I'm not going to take up too much of your time left in this video for that, but what I'm thinking is, instead of doing in groups, do video sessions, like videos, where I could have 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, all doing it live. And I'm going to talk about meditation, enlightenment, all the awesome stuff. And I've done so much understanding and research on it, or you could say stuff that you haven't heard before. I guarantee it. And if you want, it's going to be very inexpensive. What I'm thinking is $10, and you get 45 minutes with me. You can ask questions, responses, the group response. It's going to be awesome, and part of that certainly will go to charity. So what I'm interested in is later on doing a non-for-profit and getting all this out there. And I think it'd be awesome to have an ashram where people could come and stay for free and do workshops. And I'm interested in doing, place for battered women. Like, I'm really, really, that's what the goal of this channel and my website and everybody, it's all about. For people that don't know, I do distance healing. I've done that for, years. And the people who I love you, who I healed, and they said it's important for people to find me. And so people built me a website, and then so people found me on the web and do searches, and then I healed them, and it kind of, progresses. So now I'm getting the word out there. I love helping people. It makes me so happy to touch people and heal people and have them, message me back that, things are good. So it's awesome. And what I credit the healing ability I have is from Jesus, because in the Bible it says, if you take in the Spirit of Christ in your heart, then Christ is healing the people through me, because I don't just believe Christ, I know, of Christ, So when the Spirit of Christ is within you, Jesus said that you could heal just like I heal and do greater works than me, right? So, and I'm not taking anything away from Jesus. I'm just giving it all back. So I just want to, come out with a positive message that don't let this whole coronavirus and everything scare you. So I have a couple sayings, right? One of them is about worry, right? So if you worry about things that you shouldn't worry, here we go. If you should not worry about things that you can control, because you can control them, right? So I'm going to break that down for you. So if you could control something, then why worry about it? Because it's in your control and you have an ability to change it. So if you could change something, don't worry about it. Now, if you can't change something, then there's no reason for you to worry about it, because you never could have changed it from the beginning. So if you can't change something, don't worry about it. I'm bringing back Jesus' message home to you right now. So if you could change something, change it, and there's no reason to worry about it. If you can't change it, don't worry about it. So either way, you're not worrying, right? Either way, you're watching the TV and they're talking about all this scary stuff, and you're not worrying about it, because you're going to do what you can do, the best of your ability, and then what you can't change, you can't. Don't worry about it. If you're reading an article, it says there's a asteroid, meteorite, whatever, going to hit the planet. Can you change it? No. Is there something you could do in your life to make your survivability rating go up or do something? Then do that. But if you can't, then don't worry about it, right? There's nothing, only worry about what you can control. And then you don't even worry about that, because you can control it. So I say these things in 2 sentences, but I wanted to break it down for you, because I put it on the web, certain things I say, and it's like people don't really understand. They go, if I say don't worry about things that you control, because then you can control it, and you shouldn't worry about things that you can't control, because then you can't control it. I expect people to read it a few times and meditate on it. I put in a meme and then meditate on it and think about it. A lot of people are busy and they don't think about it. So I could talk about this for a minute or two and maybe translate this information to be clearer for you about how not to worry. So now, being that you watched the end of this video, now you're not worried about anything, right? I hope not. I hope you don't worry. That's important. And Jesus doesn't want you to worry, right? There's nothing to worry about. If you could change it, you're not worried. If you can't change it, don't worry about it. I watch these other spiritual teachers, I watched one today. They asked him about coronavirus. I'm not going to mention his name, but he just did this song that went for like a minute. It was just so stupid. And again, I'm not mentioning his name. I just, I respect some things some people say, but it's just like, I don't think we need to jingle about the coronavirus. I don't think that's helpful. I think it's like demeaning to the human spirit. I do make sometimes memes to make you laugh about certain things. I try to do that to lighten the mood, because people seem to worry. And I understand and I agree if that's what he's doing. But to come out like here in a video, and I'm not going to